wily, using wiles, a trick or stratagem practised for ensnaring or deception, a sly, insidious artifice, similar to guile, beguilement, allurement, never far away from fraud. In English, French, Dutch, German, Icelandic, deceit, bend, turn, even in Proto-Indo-European,
Las lavanderas de Cáceres, todas contentas están.
Proto-Indo-European, consecrate, hallow, make holy. Proselytism is the policy of attempting to convert people's religion or political beliefs. This might be through evangelism or dawah in Islam, but proselytism is often considered involuntary or coerced, under duress. Your right to choose, to change. Proselytism, in opposite, opposition to ecumenical effort, by duress was the only real thing that was forbidden of the golden age of Jewish culture in Spain, under the Islamic Moors, from 700 to 1100. Medieval Iberia, Spain and Portugal. During Islamic Muslim rule in the Middle Ages, Jews were accepted in society and Jewish religious, cultural and economic life flourished. Implementation of Islamic rule of a non-Islamic society, the coexistence of Muslim Jews and Christians, it's widely revered, the Al-Andalus period. Tolerance was an inherent aspect of Andalusian society. Non-Muslims living in an Islamic state had legal protection. Dhimmi were a protected person. Sharia law protected the dhimmi, the Jewish individual life, property, as well as freedom of religion, in exchange for loyalty to the state and payment of the taxes. Paying your taxes exempted you from things that Muslims had to do, but you were otherwise equal under the laws of property, contract and obligation. People of the Book, the Covenant, Jews, Christians and Sabians, it was eventually extended under Al-Andalus to Zoroastrians, Sikhs, Hindus, Jains and Buddhists. You could pay your taxes, be required to accept Islam, be exiled or killed. The taxes were equal to Muslim alms. Under Sharia law, dhimmi were governed by their own laws and courts, and we were allowed to consume alcohol and pork. Some think that this system doesn't work very well in a modern democratic Islamic state. The Al-Andalus idealised interfaith utopia is seen as a myth by some Jewish writers, which is used on occasion to counter how Jews have been treated in history in Christian countries. This all ended, of course, with the fanaticism of the Spanish Inquisition, Catholics pushing the Al-Andalus back into North Africa. Even after the demise of the Roman Empire, the Arian Visigoths were tolerantly indifferent to Jewish. Under Arian Visigoth rule, Jews were on an equal footing to other ethnic and religious communities that were allowed to grow and prosper. The Catholics, though, pressed a greater economic burden on the Jewish population and persecuted them quite severely. Jews welcomed the Berber Muslim Arabs and even engineered the conquering through the parallel Jewish community networks in North Africa. Jewish immigrants from North Africa and the Middle East bolstered the Iberian population under the Muslim conquest. Philosophy, maths, astronomy, poetry prospered. Jewish economic expansion was unparalleled. Under Cordoba in Toledo, the Romance languages of Christian Europe got a translation of Muslim texts by Jewish translators. Botany, geography, medicine, physicians, surgeons. Non-Muslims were not conscripted into the military. That was part of the tax. They couldn't have military training or bear arms. Conspicuous displays of faith were discouraged. But medieval Islamic world incorporated Jews much more so. They were much more integrated than in medieval Christian Europe, in political and economic life. This all ended, of course, with the Alhambra decree in 1500, and similar in Portugal. Perhaps no other town than Caceres can this be seen more clearly in built form. The UNESCO World Heritage City of Caceres, on the Spanish-Portuguese border in Extremadura, has a blend of Roman, Moorish and Northern Gothic Italian Renaissance architecture, with 30 standing towers from the Islamic period. The old town of Caceres still has its ancient walls and is well known for its multitude of stork's nests, those large migrating birds that practice serial monogamy, often for life, but sometimes just between migration periods. Caceres has been settled since prehistoric Paleolithic times, time of dolmen, standing stones. The old town of Caceres is delimited into great zones by the wall, intramuros, inside the wall, and extramuros, outside of the wall. The enclosure's intramuros is what is usually known as the monumental city, or the old part, and is the best known, while the area outside the walls is less well known. The whole old town, since the Middle Ages, is divided into 4 parishes, around which the structure of the city was configured. The 4 parishes are Santa Maria, San Mateo, Santiago and San Juan, with the first 2 intramuros and the last 2 outside the walls. The old Jewish quarter, the Arco de Cristo, is the eastern gate of the old wall of Caceres. It conserves Roman ashlars, and in the antiquity was the door of the thistle of the colony, Norba Caesarina. Caceres came to have 2 Jewish neighbourhoods, the old Juderia in the enclosure intramuros, and the Jewish quarter in the area outside the walls. The old Jewish quarter is also known as the neighbourhood of San Antonio de la Quebrada. The old Jewish part of Caceres preserves the layout and organisation of the typical streets of the Islamic and Jewish period. These are narrow streets and on slopes with small squares connecting to each other, and with streets in bottom of sack. That means streets without exit, a cul-de-sac. The houses are small, 1 to 2 floors, mostly white and decorated, some of them with flowers such as geraniums among them, which gives a great typismo to the neighbourhood. It is conformed by the streets of San Antonio, Calajon del Moral, Rincon de la Monja, and Cuesta del Marquez. The main building in the centre of the old Jewish quarter is the Ermita de San Antonio, built on the old synagogue. An interesting house. It is the house of the rich Jew, popularly known for presenting a stone facade instead of being covered with lime. It was typical of humble Jewish houses, money being invested in business where it could. In the same Jewish quarter, through one of its houses, it's possible to access the Baluat de los Pozos. It's a section of wall between 2 towers, the Tower of the Wells, or the Gypsy, and the Tower Correja, or Aljibes. It was a key point to guarantee access to the Ribera water. Water is and always has been the lifeblood of this dry region. Also, in the Jewry itself, near the Pizarro Gate, you will find access to the Olivar de la Juderia, which consists of a space, like a garden or park, located at the foot of the wall. If you continue on Rincon de la Monja, the street takes you to a junction of the street with Cuesta de la Marquez. There are 2 buildings to highlight here. One of them is the house of Duran de la Roca, and the other the Arab Museum House. When descending the Cuesta del Marquez, you arrive at the lowest point, and the most easterly point of the monumental city of Caceres. Here, Arco de Cristo, Puerta de Rio, the council, the only door of Roman origin that has persisted in the city. There's the round tower, and after crossing the arch there's the river tower. When the intramuros enclosure could not accommodate more buildings, it was decided to build outside the walls around 3 fundamental spaces, the Plaza Mayor and the 2 parishes Santiago and San Juan. These constitute the Jewish quarter outside the walls. Plaza Mayor is constituted as the centre of the historic quarter and gateway to the monumental city. It emerged as a large space for markets outside the walls. It's dominated in its east by the frontal formed by the Tower of Buhaco, the Hermitage of the Peace and the Ark of the Star. You can also see the Tower of the Pulpits and the Tower of the Yerba. To the south of the town hall, built at the end of the 1800s, the rest of the Plaza Mayor is formed by arcades that have their origin in the 16th century, 1500s, although the buildings built on them are of very different epochs. The portals housed different guilds, such as the Pan portal, the portal of the Plateros, the portal of the Scribes, the portal of the Apothecaries, and the portal of the Watchers, among others. The rest of the guilds in the city settled in streets near the Plaza Mayor, such as the well-known and commercial Calle Pintores, and others such as Panceras, Hornos, Hornillos, Zapateria, Galeros, Tenerias, Riviera de Curtidores, boilers and shops. Surrounding Plaza Mayor there are two medieval parishes, Santiago and San Juan. There are new spaces created together with the Plaza Mayor in an urban structure of the enclosure outside the walls. Four other areas intramuros inside the walls: Santa Maria, San Jorge, San Mateo, and the algarve of the Star we'll look at now. For me, as an architect,
soy la bandera del azar, porque así lo quiso Dios. La bandera fue mi madre, y la banderita yo. En el lavandero te he visto lavar, te he visto las ligas y eran coloradas, y eran coloradas, y eran coloradas. En el lavandero